and we invite you to tune in for that. Drop one on them early, Brentley.
I'll tell you what, Bobby. I don't mind getting bumped for a ball game, Bobby.
Especially a ball game like this, Hank. And we're glad that you folks are with us, and hopefully before the end of the night you'll be glad that you're with us too.
One observation: Kent Mercker usually cracks Big Mac's back before he goes out on the field. Well, with Mercker pitching tonight, who's going to crack his back?
It's a good question.
It may take several players to crack Mac's back.
Usually takes more than one to lift that body off the turf. As we get ready for baseball here in St. Louis, Kent Mercker heads to work. And a look for you at the MCI starting lineup for the Chicago Cubs. Not just the starting lineup, but the role players in this drama that unfolds before us here tonight for the Cubs. Jim Riggleman has Lance Johnson in center. Jose Hernandez batting second at shortstop. Mark Grace hitting third at first base. We've already focused on McGwire. Don't forget, Sammy Sosa's only 3 home runs away from McGwire with 58. Glenn Allen Hill is in left field with Gary Gaetti, the former Cardinal, at third. Mickey Morandini at second. Scott Service is hitting eighth and catching and pitching. The man on the mound, Steve Traxel, will his name be indelibly marked in our memories after tonight's effort. The Cardinals defense, Mark McGwire, don't forget, an American League Gold Glove Award winner at first base with Oakland back in 1990. And the man to his right on the mound tonight for the Cardinals, left-hander, 30-year-old Kent Mercker.
Take a look at Mercker's numbers on the season. Basically a 2 different fastball pitcher. He'll cut one in on the right-handers. He'll sink it away from the right-handers. The best pitch for my money is that straight changeup. Of course, he needs to set it up with those 2 fastballs I mentioned earlier. Very nice changeup with good arm speed that will fade down and away from the hitters. He'll mix in an occasional breaking ball. Very important for Mercker to keep the ball down in the game.
Unless he's pitching to Sammy Sosa. As a matter of fact, either pitcher tonight, when they face Sosa and McGwire, you do not want to keep that ball down to them. A couple of golfers as hitters.
Now, Mark McGwire, in fact, one year in high school, quit the game of baseball to play golf. And you wonder what might have been had he continued down that path. But the former pitcher in high school and at USC is now on the verge of becoming the heavyweight champion of baseball, the single-season home run king. This broadcast is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. Glad you're with us. Maybe history tonight as Kent Mercker gets ready to work to Lance Johnson with Jose Hernandez and Mark Grace to follow. And the first pitch of the night is pop foul. Back and out of play for strike 1. The home plate umpire, Steve Ripley. He's the man in charge of calling balls and strikes tonight, with Larry Poncino at first, Mike Winters at second, Gary Darling at third. Bob, these guys have been here for the entire weekend, and now the next 2 days. That's not a bad assignment for the men in blue to come to St. Louis for this long 5-game stand.
Well, we talked about how excited the players are to be involved in this thing, the fans that were able to get tickets to come out here to Busch Stadium tonight, and this is a big thrill for the umpires as well. 1
ball, 1 strike, and Johnson grounds it foul outside first for strike 2. Tim, what can't be lost in the shuffle as we look at McGwire and track his progress and give you his history throughout the night this evening on Fox is that man on your right, Jim Riggleman, the man to his left, Sammy Sosa, heavily involved in the postseason race. They come into tonight's game tied with the New York Mets atop the National League wild card race.
It would be a lot easier for some of Jim Riggleman's decisions if the Cubs were in the same position as the Cardinals out of the race.
Johnson pops it into left center. Langford over to get it to his right. 1 up, 1 down for the Cubs in the first. Well, there are the standings with the Mets and Cubs with identical records of 80 and 64. And the Giants, Bob, a former Giant, they will not go away. And I think that's a credit to a guy who I think is one of the best, if not the best, managers in the game, and that's Dusty Baker.
Oh, regardless of the adversity the Giants have faced this year, they're just hanging around in that wild card race. They got left-hander Sean Estes back last week. Figures to get 3 or 4 more starts down the stretch. You can't count the Giants out yet.
A ball up and away to Jose Hernandez, the number 2 hitter in the lineup for Jim Riggleman. Cubs hoping to get Jeff Blauser back tomorrow. He's had a problem with his throwing elbow. They get Henry Rodriguez back. He's had a bad ankle. But right now, this evening's lineup is The same as we had here yesterday on Labor Day when Mark McGwire hit number 61. That misses from Merker, and the count goes to 3-0.
Tony La Russa came back to St. Louis from Tampa about 2 hours before game time, is my understanding. He attended the funeral of his mother, Oliva, today. And his dad was okay, his 88-year-old father, and Tony back in the dugout. He left after yesterday afternoon's game against the Cubs. And obviously our condolences to the La Russa family.
Here is Mark Grace with 1 on, 1 out. Evidently they announced the wrong hitter as Grace got in. I think they may have said Sosa. He got out, and now they say it is Mark Grace at the plate, so he gets a smile, and so does Jim Riggleman.
Well, we talked about Sosa and McGwire and what fun they're having with this home run chase. Mark Grace in batting practice today took his first round, happened to hit one ball into bleachers in right field, and ran around the bases in batting practice, tipping his cap to the fans. They gave him a good-natured round of applause. Everybody's getting into it.
1 on, 1 out. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, Mark Grace, Tim, yesterday when McGwire went deep and hit number 61 before Mark got away from him, gave him a high five as McGwire went around first base.
Gave him a little bash, and that's dangerous to bash with that guy.
1-1, and Grace takes a pitch in the dirt away from Marrero and back into the on-deck circle. That'll send Hernandez down to second on what will be a wild pitch.
Breaking ball gets away from Eli Marrero, and obviously in situations like this all night, when you have first base open with Sosa on deck or with McGwire on deck, there is going to be the question that has to be answered whether you're going to pitch to him or not.
2 balls and a strike on Grace as he takes a high strike on a fastball from Merker. 88-mile-an-hour pitch from the Cardinal left-hander. 2-2. Tony La Russa trying to get the attention of somebody on his defense. Maybe the third baseman Tatis, says Merker just missed the outside corner. 3-2.
Close pitch. Mark Grace, one of the better eyes in all of baseball. About as borderline as it gets right there. He must have real good eyes.
The 3-2 from Merker, right back up the middle and through into center field. Hernandez will score without a play, and here in the first inning, the Cubs take a 1-0 lead. So with Grace at first and 1 out, it brings in Sammy Sosa, and so much has been made of the way these St. Louis fans have reacted to Sammy Sosa. Another standing ovation. Sosa yesterday, when he got that in his first at bat, tipped his helmet to the crowd here and was quoted as saying he was very touched as the flashbulb popped. Wow. It misses outside for ball 1 to Sosa.
Pat Piper, the public address announcer for years at Wrigley Field, used to exhort to the Wrigley faithful to get your pencils and scorecards ready before the game.
Sosa fouls it back 1-1.
Tonight, it's get your flash bulbs ready before the game.
Get ready to snap away. Sammy Sosa, as we showed you. Maybe we'll get a look at all these flashballs popping around the ballpark. Sosa comes up empty. I mean, it's to the point where it's got to be somewhat distracting.
You would think so, yeah. Here's what Joe's been talking about. The flashbulbs start even before Merker begins his delivery, and as the pitch nears home plate, they all fire off those cameras at the same time.
A ball and 2 strikes. Sosa takes it up and in.
This kind of reminds me of growing up back in the Midwest. You know, a warm summer evening out in the middle of a field and all the lightning bugs flashing all around you.
I thought you were going to say growing up in the 60s.
No.
Seeing all those flashes. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Ground ball, base hit left field. To the left of Tatis. Sosa's aboard. He had a hit here yesterday, and he's on with a base hit here in the first inning, and now McGwire and Sosa are near each other as they were yesterday and as they were for our pregame conversation. There is absolutely no phoniness with regard to these two and how much they respect one another, because they're going through something that they could probably never fully explain to anybody who hasn't lived through it.
And aren't too many people that have lived through it.
2 on, 1 out, and Glenn Allen Hill takes a pitch low.
And even fewer people that could handle it the way these two have.
That's right.
Glenn Allen Hill with 2 on, 1 out, and the 1-0 pitch is high. 2-0 from Kent Mercker, who's getting deeper into trouble on arrival. Here it is yesterday with a home run, number 61, off the bat of McGwire. There's the reaction from Sammy Sosa, and then later when Sosa finally reached first, the hug. The 2-0 pitch, Hill, a double play ball to short. Good play by Ordaz, but they can get only one as he couldn't get it out of his glove. The force out at second. Sosa's gone, and it's first and third, 2 out.
That ball was hit so hard, it shocked the system of Luis Ordaz. Great hands, and finally gets 1 out.
Like he had possession of that ball about 4 different times during the course of this play, but never really had a good grip on it. Good presence of mind to stay with it and get the force out at second base.
And now Gaetti with first and third, 2 out. Another big ovation here yesterday and again tonight for Gary Gaetti, who grew up just across the river in the state of Illinois, but came to Cardinal games as a youngster in this area. He had been with the Cardinals for 2+ years, released by the Cardinals. He signs with the Cubs, and he has been a big help to Chicago down the stretch, hitting .284 as he lines a base hit into right field. Gray scores. Glenn Allen Hill will go first to third, and it's 2-0 Cubs here in the first.
Gary Gaetti, perhaps more than any player on either team, understands the rivalry between these two organizations and these two cities. The Cardinals and the Cubs, the best in baseball, the best rivalry in baseball, in my judgment. Lining one to right field. The irony of having Sosa with the Cubs and McGwire with the Cardinals, and these two organizations going at one another for all these years.
And now Mickey Morandini. Sammy Sosa now over on the bench. His base hit helps produce that second run, as Morandini pops it into left field for Gant. Should do it for the top of the first, and does. The Cubs come up with 2 runs on 3 hits. Bottom of the first. That means McGwire. 2-0 Chicago.
Dude, get down. It's my chair. Let's go. I'm not playing games.
Steve Traxel is the right-hander who draws tonight's assignment, with Mark McGwire sitting on 61 home runs. A look at the MCI starting lineup for the St. Louis Cardinals. Delano DeShields will lead off at second base. Fernando Tatis bats second and third, with Mark McGwire hitting third and first base. And there are the numbers in his career against Traxel. Ray Langford backs up McGwire in the Cardinal lineup, with Ron Gant in left, John Mabry in right, Luis Ordaz in short. The pitcher hits 8 for Tony La Russa in the second half of the year. That means Mercker tonight, with Eli Marrero catching and batting ninth. How about the defense for the Chicago Cubs? They've committed 93 errors as a team, and Sammy Sosa always on the list of outfield assists in the National League. He has 13. And that defense backs up tonight's starting pitcher, right-hander Steve Traxel.
Traxel with 2 types of fastballs. He'll run the ball away to a left-handed batter and in tight with that cut fastball. And he does have an excellent splitter. That's who Mark McGwire and the Cardinals will be facing this evening.
You see that fastball that will either cut or sink, the split finger fastball, all those pitches that we just described normally are pitches that are worked at the bottom of the strike zone, right into Mark McGwire's strength.
Here's the first pitch to Delano DeShields, the bunt. He gets it past the pitcher. Tough play, Morandini. Second base hit DeShields.
perfectly executed bunt by Delino DeShields. All he has to do is get it by the pitcher. You can see from the arc on that ball, it has backspin. Gets it past Steve Traxel. The ball checks up on the infield grass, and Mickey Morandini with an outstanding bare hand play, but no chance to get the speedy DeShields at first.
So the fans here thinking about the big arc, and they got the small arc.
Here is Tatis, 1 on, nobody out. Cardinals trailing by 2 as the Cubs came up with 2 in the top of the inning, and Traxel. That's strike 1 off the bat of Tatis. You notice one of the points on our scouting report, very deliberate worker.
Yes.
Stated in another way,
he is.
He's slow. He takes forever. And on a night like tonight, you would imagine it might kick down one more notch. Traxel takes his time and gets back on top. As Tatis watches the look over. DeShields has stolen 21. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike from Traxel.
I was talking to Scott Service, who also caught yesterday's game, and he said when McGwire was on deck before he came up the first time, he looked over to the on deck circle and he said, I have never seen a guy on deck look as focused as Mark McGwire did yesterday.
It's an interesting point to talk about. And as Traxel steps off, I think that's the difference between McGwire and maybe somebody else who might be in this type of situation with regard to concentration. The 1-1 pitch is chopped foul outside third. Mark McGwire is able to separate all that goes on before the game, the media, the pressure that is involved in doing what he's doing, and each individual at bat, and he calls what he's doing right there not sleeping. He's visualizing what he thinks will happen when he steps into the box against Traxel.
A little catnap in the on deck circle never hurt anybody anyway. You can sleep standing up
like horses do.
1 on, nobody out, and a ball and 2 strike count on Fernando Tatis. Check on the runner, and they got him. DeShields picked off first by Traxel. So DeShields is gone as Traxel caught him catching a quick nap standing over at first.
We should have said he's a very deliberate worker until he goes to first. Then he's got quick feet, and that gets Delino DeShields.
An argument from Tony La Russa.
Now, the entire Cubs pitching staff throughout the season has been accused of using that balk move, particularly the right-handed pitchers, buckling that left knee, the front knee first, and then spinning to throw to first base. And it certainly appeared that that's what Traxel did and got away with one.
The right-handed pitchers use that move, taught to them by Phil Reagan, who used to be the Vulture in Los Angeles. That was his nickname as a short reliever. Don Drysdale worked it about as well as anybody I ever saw.
Now breaking ball, strikes out Tatis, 2 out, nobody on, with Mark McGwire walking to the plate in the first. We'd like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Cincinnati Reds and the Houston Astros on our FX cable channel. They don't even wait for the pitch now with the flash bulbs popping all over the ballpark as Mark McGwire digs in for his first at bat of the night. Sitting on 61 home runs. Ball low and away. It is overwhelming. These flash bulbs popping around the park.
It's almost like lightning flashing when the pitch is delivered.
Everyone trying to catch their glimpse of history as the 1-0 pitch is inside 2-0. The Roger Maris family watching. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. scoreless with any one of the three.
Bob, the points you made on Sunday about Mark McGwire not hitting one 3-0 pitch out of the park this year.
His son Matt, his 10-year-old son Matt, who got here just in time yesterday to see number 61. The 3-0 pitch. A 3-hopper to short, picked up by Hernandez. And the tag at first. I have to tell you, that is rare. Mark McGwire all year long just will not swing at a 3-0 pitch. He did here, and he's the final out of the first.
Hey, Cardinal fans, this break in the action is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Ken Mercker back to work as the Cubs will bat here in the third inning with Hernandez, Grace, and Sosa due up. Cubs out in front 2-0, and a ball low from Mercker. Hernandez drew a walk, which started the uprising for the Cubs in the first inning. And he pops it up here on the infield for McGwire. How does it feel, Mark, waiting for something to come down forever? That thing had hang time of about 6-7 seconds. There's John McGwire, Mark's father. What a birthday present he received here yesterday. 61st birthday, 61st home run from his son to tie Roger Maris before this packed crowd at Busch Stadium.
Well, he's ruined it for every other major leaguer. I mean, what, how are you going to top that for a birthday present for your dad?
I asked McGwire if he knew anybody that turned 62 today. Here it is. He picks up his son Matt. You can see him saying happy birthday, Dad, and the thumbs up. It's just such a feel-good atmosphere around here. And as Grace takes a strike, and it's 1-1, and yesterday may have been the crowning blow. The 1-1 pitch to Grace the opposite way, and Mark Grace is 2 for 2. 2 hops to Gant, and there's a man on with Sammy Sosa walking to the plate.
What Mark Grace has been so good at for so many years, serving that ball into left field.
And here's Sosa.
Not only a feel-good attitude in this ballpark, Joe and Bob, but this game is being broadcast to 100 countries. And I'll guarantee you one of those countries, the Dominican Republic. Right in the southeastern corner is a little town, San Pedro de Macorís, that has produced more major league players than any other city per capita in the world. And Sosa's one of them.
And you are looking at a man at the plate that truly is the ambassador to the United States from the Dominican Republic.
Absolutely.
The Dominican Republic could not be more well represented than by Sammy Sosa. The force out at second, and got them both. An inning-ending 5-4-3 double play. Sosa has a single. He's now 1 for 2, and we move to the bottom of the third, bottom of the order coming up.
Hey, Cardinal fans, this break in the action is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
The Bud 1 airship flying overhead, providing our aerial pictures this evening. As Delino DeShields leads off, bottom of the fourth inning, top of the order for the Cardinals, which includes McGwire, and he takes a strike. The 0-1 to DeShields leading off, a ball and a strike. Delino a base hit his first time up, but then was picked off first. And Traxel so far has faced the minimum. 9 hitters through 3 innings. 2-0 Cubs in the fourth inning. And that's foul for strike 2.
Concentration, the visualization you were talking about earlier, Joe, trying to picture the pitches he will see from Steve Traxel, various locations.
and 2 strikes on to Shields first up in the 4th inning. The opposite way, and Gaetti makes a nice play. The Shields is gone, and let's go down to the field and Steve Lyons.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. You know, we've heard a lot from the Maris sons. Let's hear from one of the Maris daughters. This is Sandra Maris. And boy, these last few days for you since you've been in town, it's been like a roller coaster ride. We haven't really got a chance to talk to you. What has all this meant to you?
I'll tell you that seeing the crowd the way it is and all the fans behind Mark has just been tremendous. It'd be neat to be able to see what Dad went through, and it's nice to be here and kind of get that feeling.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to Richard again. Richard, we've talked to you a lot about how you would feel up until this point. You've had a lot of time to think about how you'd feel if the record gets broken tonight or the next few nights. You think you'll change the way you've been thinking?
Well, yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, I'm excited for him. I'd like to see him do it tonight. It's not for just Mark, but for the city of St. Louis. I mean, he's a great baseball fan. It's been fun to see.
All right, you know, of course, Roger carried his career with dignity and class just the way these guys have. Let's send it back to you guys up in the booth.
All right, Steve, thank you, and thank you to Richard and Sandra. 1 ball, 1 strike on Tatis, and the fastball from Traxel makes it 1-2.
Richard had an excellent point. If Mark McGwire doesn't do it tonight, the Cardinals go on a 5-game road trip to Cincinnati and to Houston. Chances are pretty good that he's going to hit one in one of those 5 games, if not tonight.
Well, everybody has thrown this big party, and here comes the man of the hour, Mark McGwire, who is 0 for 1 tonight, his second at bat here in the 4th. We would like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Houston Astros and the Cincinnati Reds on our FX cable channel as Matt McGwire looks on, wondering if this is the at-bat. Tuesday, September 8th, that Mark McGwire moves 1 place in front of Roger Maris. Down the left field line. Is it enough? Gone! There it is! 62! Touch first, Mark. You are the new single-season home run king. open to a better man. And you will always know where you are at 8:18 p.m. Central Time, September 8th, 1998.
On your mark. Get set. Bang.
Mark was so happy, he had to remember to touch first base.
I'm not sure if his feet were touching the ground at that point.
McGwire, who started the season as Gary Gaietti's teammate. He's been with Rene Lachemann over the years. A point to the sky, a hug from Scott Service, and the reaction from his longtime manager, Tony La Russa. Now to the Maris family.
Son, Chicago Cubs, Sammy Sosa, unbelievable. Claps. Thank you, St. Louis.
Well, we asked Mark McGwire before the game if he thought someplace there was a script written, and tonight was the night. And guys, a little sheepish smile crept onto his face. He didn't want to admit that he wanted it to happen tonight, but he said if it's to be, tonight is the night to do it here in St. Louis before these fans, before the road trip. Tonight is the night, Tuesday, September 8th, 1998.
I was not sure that the ball was going to have enough height to get over the wall. He hit it so hard that it could have gone through the wall. What a tracer.
Now Sosa. People cannot begin to imagine what those two have been through in 1998. Two men from completely opposite backgrounds joined in 1998 in the Roger Maris chase, and it's Mark McGwire who gets to the top of the mountain, home run number 62 in the Cardinals' 145th game of the year.
One of the interesting things about that home run is no fan had a chance to catch it because the ball wasn't hit up into the stands. It was hit into that area below the stands.
One more look at the swing of Mark McGwire. Low fastball driven on a line. You can see that area right there underneath the sign where the batting cages used to be here at Busch Stadium. I believe that's an area where they store the batting practice equipment, the cages and what have you.
Right.
Very uncharacteristic Mark McGwire home run. Normally the towering shots that seem to hang in the air forever. That one happened so quickly the fans were stunned.
Bob, it was almost like a Sammy Sosa home run. But again, so much made of the fan who's going to catch the ball, and now you have to wonder whether a fan was able to get to it and where the ball is.
Sosa's salute to Big Mac.
Man.
Here's the change on the scoreboard. Number 62 for Mark McGwire. And no one more than Mark McGwire, hopes that the attention this is focused on Roger Maris and his year of 1961 and his career. Roger Maris, a great player. No one hopes that all of this attention, no one hopes any more than Mark McGwire that this will put Roger Maris in his rightful place in baseball's Hall of Fame.
I could not agree with you more.
Major League Baseball had said that they did not want to, if Mark McGwire hit the home run, stop the game midstream, but we're finding out, Bob Brentley, that was an unrealistic expectation. It's impossible.
The best laid plans of all, you know, you've heard that saying before. I mean, the emotion of the moment was entirely too much. I mean, you're going to tell the all-time single-season home run leader, don't go over and hug the Marises. We got to keep the game moving. It's his show. Let him do what he wants.
Mark McGwire with that heart pounding at the end of the dugout. And the Macometer surfaces 62 and counting. You had a quick shot of John McGwire, Mark's father. His parents have been here tracking this over the past couple of days. There's John right in the middle on your left with a Cardinal hat on. And I said it as he came to the plate, guys. It seems like you throw this man a party night after night after night, and he delivers seemingly every time out. What an honor. What an honor. Back to baseball, if it's possible, as Ray Langford takes a breaking ball for a strike.
That's 15 home runs in his last 21 games.
A 10-minute delay after the home run from McGwire, and worth every single second of it. What an honor to be here, on hand to watch it.
What must be going through his mind right now?
2 out, nobody on, and Langford comes up empty, strike 2. Well, he was fully aware, if you read the quote in the paper, about his home run trot yesterday when he hit 61. He remembered the home run trot by Hank Aaron back in 1974 when he broke Babe Ruth's career home run total with number 715. He watched that as a young man, and now this 1998 season will be remembered as Mark McGwire's year. History made here tonight. St. Louis, Missouri at Busch Stadium. There is your new single-season home run champion, 62 and counting.
McGwire, known for his 550-foot Titanic home run blasts, sets the all-time record with his shortest home run of the year of 341 feet.
Well, Chip, it was hit so hard and so low that it just barely cleared the wall. That wall is 8 feet high. That line drive left the bat probably 10 feet high and stayed right there. It was hit too hard to sink. And so the fans didn't even come into play. It just went right underneath the stands. And now you don't have to worry about who's going to retrieve it or if it was indeed the ball he hit out of the ballpark. It was probably the hardest line drive we've ever seen hit.
If somebody had been standing in the way of that thing, they'd be wearing it. Race, a rocket to the shortstop, Ordaz to a knee. Quickly 2 outs in the 5th, and now Stoney, this crowd sitting almost in stunned silence. The ball got out of here so quickly, and now they roar for Sosa. These folks are going to be exhausted by the time we leave town. I'm already exhausted. Sammy 1 for 2. Swung, a lined hard foul.
You got a guy on the mound that's throwing mostly fastballs. And with the Cubs only a 1-run lead in this one, Sammy would love to get a hole in one and hit 59. Give the Cub fans here something to cheer about as they're yelling Sammy.
In St. Louis, Cardinal fans are shouting, "Sammy, Sammy." Who would have thought that? Two balls and a strike.
And now they're booing their own pitcher, Kent Mercker, because he's fallen behind 2-1. Number 62 came on the first pitch. A line drive rocket right over the wall.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Sammy said to Big Mac, don't get too far ahead of him. He has set the record for now. Can Sammy catch him? The 2-2 is high, 3-2. It's a 2-1 game. And Sosa walks with 2 outs.
Wonder if Sammy is telling him, how am I going to catch you if you guys keep walking me?
A moment for the ages. Sammy coming over, hugging McGwire, or McGwire hugging him, lifting him off the ground. The high five, the fake thrust to the thorax in celebration of the home run. Oh, what a moment. The Sports Illustrated cover is going to be out. I saw a glossy of it downstairs. The shot of Mark McGwire holding his arms up after he tied the record yesterday. I wonder if there'll be a change after tonight's heroics. No balls and a strike to Glenn Allen Hill. 0-2.
Well, they can use the same picture, just change the number.
Oh, man.
And I'm just ecstatic that we were here to see it. It's one of the great moments in my career, and I'm sure in yours also.
I was going to ask you, you've won the Cy Young Award, you've pitched in the World Series, you've seen so many great moments in Cub history. We hoped and prayed that we'd be a part of this, and sure enough, it's happened.
61 and 62 on consecutive nights, and the ballpark just erupted.
The 0-2 swung on, hit high in the air into shallow left field. Ordaz goes out. He's under it. He's got it, and the inning is over. No runs, 1 hit, no runs, no hits, 1 man left. Halfway home in St. Louis. It's a 2-1 Cub game.
Brought to you in part by Hoover. Nobody gets the dirt like Hoover. Nobody. By Dobbs Tire and Auto Centers. If you depend on your car, depend on Dobbs. And by Steak and Shake. Extra innings. We're open 24 hours. Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers.
Well, folks, tonight's Skyview coverage from the Bud One airship is brought to you by Brewery Fresh Budweiser, the official beer of Major League Baseball. Down below, history has been made. Mark McGwire connects for home run number 62, the new single-season home run champion. He did it in the bottom of the 4th inning at 18 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. Here's a strike and the count 0-1 on Ron Gant. Well, folks packed into this stadium, hoping tonight would be the night. Mark McGwire did not disappoint as his march continues. Gant flies into right. Sammy Sosa coming on. He makes the catch. 1 away, and let's take it now down to Steve Lyon. Steve.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. This is an unbelievable story. I'm standing down here with Tim Forneras. He caught the ball. He works for the club on the grounds crew along with his brother Tito, and his mother works as a concierge. Now, Tim, tell me about how he caught the ball.
It was unbelievable. Right when it hit off the bat, I knew it was going out. It went right over the sign. There was a bunch of grounds crew guys on the wall, but I was right on the edge, and I said, that ball was mine. So I jumped off, I ran as fast as I could, I snagged it, and then I didn't know what to do with it, so I kind of walked around.
Well, you know, we talk about the pressure that Mark McGwire has had hitting the home runs. A lot of pressure on you as to what you're going to do with the ball, and what did you decide? Well, it's a definite decision. It will definitely go to Cooperstown, or, you know, Mr. McGwire, of course, and then he can decide what he wants to do with it. I just don't want to be taxed. That's a great answer. You know, this is his mother, Tina. Now, you must be very proud of a son who's willing to give up that kind of a responsibility, give the ball back to the guy who rightfully deserves it.
he's always been a giving child, and I had no doubt in my mind that he wouldn't do this. He said it. He said if I ever had that opportunity, I wouldn't even think about it twice. It's his.
You know, Tino, you were out there with him, and you said he was just too quick for you. He got to the ball quicker.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the ball went out just like you said. And next thing I knew, it was over. And he was already halfway there, and I didn't even have a chance for it. And there isn't a better kid. I mean, he said since, you know, if I ever had the chance, I'd give it to Mr. McGwire, and he can do whatever he wants with it after that. So he's been saying that all along.
Well, just another one of those great stories that we've had here all week long. Let's send it back to you guys in the booth.
All right, Steve. There's where it went. In between the K's for the strikeouts at the top of the wall in left field. 341, again the shortest in distance, but the biggest in significance that Mark McGwire hits in 1998. 2 out, nobody on, and a breaking ball is a strike to Luis Ordaz.
I tell you, I'm overwhelmed that Tim would give the ball immediately to McGwire without thinking. Overwhelmed.
I think the three of us are finding out things about ourselves that we might not have known before.
A lot of people
this home
are.
run chase.
I think a lot of people are. We're not the only mercenaries in this country.
Here, watch Tim. You'll see him come up. That's not Tim, it's from Tim. It's one of the ushers down by the field, and McGwire just gives it right back to him. So Tim gives it to an usher to give to McGwire right at the home plate celebration. McGwire says, yeah, take it back. Now, he eventually will get it, and Cooperstown eventually will get it. And we will track the story about young Tim. Ordaz pops it up into center field, and Lance Johnson is there. I see his mom. I see Tim's mom, Rita, every day when I come to the ballpark, and I saw her tonight. She said, "Do you think tonight's the night?" I said, "I think tonight's the night." Little did she know young Tim would come up with it.
The president makes a big hit in St. Louis.
President Casino by the Arch, downtown where the action is.
Avoid the heavy traffic. Take a spin in one of our machines instead.
President Casino by the Arch, downtown where the action is.
Needs a little work. We've never really had that big of a house before. Bathtub. So there's gonna be a lot going on my Discover card. Fireplace. I love just the idea of surrounding myself with all my friends and family, and that people can just drop by. Pool table. Discover card cashback bonus award. It's like a gift that you can do whatever you want with, and not even feel guilty. Come find my house.
It pays to Discover. To apply, call 1-800-IT-PAYS-TO. Accepted where you see the Novus sign.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila, and I want to show you another great innovation in Craftsman hand tools. It's the Craftsman Quick Wrench, exclusively from Sears. The Quick Wrench is a combination wrench with a unique open-end design that makes it work like a ratchet. An ordinary open-end wrench has to be removed and repositioned after every turn. But the Craftsman Quick Wrench stays in continuous contact, making the job faster and easier. And what about those places where a ratchet and socket won't fit? That's where the Quick Wrench really comes in handy. It's made to reach right into tight spaces, and the ratcheting action gets the job done in no time. The Craftsman Quick Wrench can be used almost anywhere, in the garage, in the yard, and in your home. No toolbox is complete without a Quick Wrench set. And because it's a Craftsman hand tool made in America, it's guaranteed forever.
Call now to order your set of 6 Craftsman Quick Wrenches in standard or metric for only $19.99 plus shipping and handling. Use your Sears card or other credit card and call 1-800-832-5200. Call right now.
Home team's Fox Attitude. You're watching Fox Sports Midwest.
Well, okay, we're getting a little greedy. Mark McGwire, 8 multi-home run games this season. 51 in his career. He's hit 1 tonight. He's hit 62 on the year. And it is our intention, folks, after the game, as Gaetti leads it off in a 2-1 game in favor of the Cubs. We're in the 6th inning. It's our intention to interview Mark McGwire right at the conclusion of this game. And that brings up another aspect of this, guys, how gracious Mark McGwire has been with his time, and how wonderful a job the Cardinals PR department, led by Brian Bartow, has been in handling this this situation. 2 balls and a strike on Gaetti. Dan Farrell and all of the people, general manager Walt Jocketty, and a list of people that runs on and on and on, and getting Mark McGwire to us at times, to the other parts of the media at times, as Gaetti lofts a foul ball down the left field line. 2-2. Major League Baseball's done a great job as well.
There's Walt Jocketty, the man responsible for signing Mark McGwire. And Mark McGwire is not even among the top 5 paid players in Major League Baseball. You talk about a steal and a deal.
2 balls, 2 strikes. It's still 2-2.
How much money do you think Mark McGwire has generated for the industry of baseball in 1998?
I don't know if you could put a number on it. Attendance up at every ballpark that Mac went to. Priceless. That says it all right there.
Well, you've seen history tonight. Next Tuesday, you can find out who survives the big propane blast and who doesn't on the season premiere of King of the Hill. History next Tuesday, and then see why Sue is the breakout personality of the new season on the series premiere of Costello before an all-new Guinness. It's Fox Tuesday starting next week at 8 Eastern, 7 Central. Here's Morandini.
We've survived the blast tonight. We have 1 more to go next Tuesday.
That's right. Wow. So 1 out, nobody on for Mickey Morandini, who is 0 for 1 with a fly out and a walk. That's strike 2. But you mentioned Walt Jocketty. I live here in St. Louis. When he made the trade, a lot of the local media said it's just rent a player. The Cardinals were basically out of the running for the postseason last year, and they said, why would you give up 3 young pitchers to get Mark McGwire when you know he's going to be a free agent and not stay here? Well before the end of the season, Mark McGwire gave everybody here in St. Louis and really throughout the Midwest an early Christmas present when he said he would stay here, sign for less money, deferred a lot of money, then made the announcement he would donate $1 million a year to charity for abused children. And it fell out of the sky from nowhere, and here he is, Mark McGwire, who probably will end his career in a Cardinal uniform, and look what he's done in 1998.
Acquired by the St. Louis Cardinals in a trade with the Oakland Athletics for pitchers T.J. Matthews, Eric Ludwig, and Blake Stein on July 31st, 1997. And how good must those 3 guys feel right now to have been traded for Mark McGwire?
T.J. Matthews, who grew up right across the river, was heartbroken when he was traded away from the Cardinals. Very good young right-hander pitching out in Oakland. Blake Stein looks like he's going to be a good starter. And Eric Ludwig is no longer with the Oakland A's. He is now pitching for Jim Leyland in the world champion, lest we forget, Florida Marlins. A little fly ball into center. 1 hop picked up by Langford off the bat of Service, a 2-out single.
Well, talking about the possibility of McGwire being a rent-a-player last year, Walt Jocketty said, I knew once we got him here to St. Louis, put him in front of these Cardinals fans at Busch Stadium in the Midwest, the kind of people that are here, knowing the kind of guy Mark McGwire was, Walt Jocketty was pretty sure they'd be able to ink him to a contract.
And you talk about a perfect match. This community, these baseball fans, which if you're not familiar with it, as Traxel lines a base hit into left field, the Cardinals will go over 3 million in attendance. A feat normally reserved for cities the size of New York, Los Angeles, the hysteria around the Colorado Rockies when they came into the league. They will go over 3 million. And they do it from an enormous drawing area throughout the Midwest, states that surround Missouri. People drive mile after mile after mile to come watch the Cardinals, and lately to come watch McGwire. 2 on, 2 out. Lance Johnson at the plate. Johnson trying to add to the Chicago lead, which is 2-1. He takes a strike. Back-to-back 2-out hits, and now Johnson to the right side. Good play by DeShields to his left, and the inning is over. No runs, 2 hits, 2 left. 8 left tonight for the Cubs. Another look at number 62, 341 feet later. That man's your new single-season home run champion.
Golf balls.
the Casino Queen. We know what floats your boat.
For 100 years, Biv the Michelin Man has symbolized our never-ending quest to invent the best tires in the world. Michelin, celebrating 100 years of innovation.
Nobody does it like you.
To deep clean your carpet and upholstery, you can get a Hoover Steam Vac Ultra and pay once. Or pay these guys
Nobody
every time.
does it like you.
Don't miss out when someone special calls. Get caller ID with the caller's name and number.
Do you know the difference between a restaurant and a workaround? A workaround is a place where you work your way through the line, work to see the menu, work to carry your tray and fill your drink, work to balance your tray and drink when you get your condiments, work to find a place to sit, and then work to clean your own table. Thank you so much. At Steak and Shake, we're a restaurant. You sit while I do the work.
Steak and Shake, famous for steak burgers.
Bottom of the 6th inning. And wow, what a night for Cardinal fans. Not only do you catch a guy who is going to end up in the Hall of Fame, but you see the Major League debut at the plate right now of J.D. Drew. The highly touted prospect who held out from the Philadelphia Phillies after 2 years ago being drafted by the Phillies, seeking an enormous contract. It didn't happen. He sat out. He played in the Northern League. And Bob Brenly, he goes back into the draft. The Cardinals select him, sign him. Another feather in the camp of Walt Jocketty, and here he is.
Man, what a night to make your debut, huh? Yeah, I don't think he'll forget this day.
J.D. Drew gets his name in the box score. The box score that may likely end up in Cooperstown. The 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. So J.D. Drew, wearing number 8, making his Major League debut. Left-handed hitter with power. That's strike 2. We're in the 6th inning, and Drew leads it off. With Marrero and DeShields to follow. A ball and 2 strikes. 2-2.
See J.D. Drew starting his career tonight, and I can't help but think, and I was thinking about him all day, Busch Stadium turned 90 years old on June 15th. He worked for the Cardinals over 70 years. And he is at home watching the game this evening. And I would be remiss not to say hello to the diminutive equipment trainer, equipment manager of the St. Louis Cardinals for over 70 years and loved by everybody in this city. And not here at the park tonight, but watching the game on television.
The 3-2 to Drew is hit down the right field line. He hooked it, and it's foul. Wow.
Well, this may be his first at bat in the big leagues, but the Cubs have a pretty good scouting report on J.D. Drew. A steady diet of off-speed pitches. Every fastball he's seen has been up around the letters.
Would this have been something had this ball had gone out of the ballpark? His first plate appearance on the night that McGwire hit 62.
There's Bud Selig's reaction, and Jim Gray's for good measure over the outside corner, and J.D. Drew strikes out to start the 6th inning. So first Major League at bat, a strikeout. Dear Diary, what a night I had tonight in St. Louis, and that is an iffy pitch called for strike 3.
Well, you might as well get used to it now, J.D. You're going to have a few of those called on you in your career.
So the Major League debut, not what J.D. thought about on his flight from Memphis after playing at Tim McCarver Stadium to St. Louis to make his major league debut here tonight on September 8th. Eli Marrero now, who is 0 for 1. Cardinals down by a run in the 6th inning. Cubs needing this ball game. I think they could have the old, I think, such a tired line, but a win-win situation. You see history and you get a victory as the Mets are just getting pummeled in Philadelphia 16-3 in the 8th inning, and the win tonight would put the Cubs back a game out in front in the wild card race.
San Francisco Giants will play at San Diego later on this evening. The Giants are 2 games behind both the Mets and the Cubs entering tonight's play.
2 balls and a strike, now 3-1. We talked about the rivalry here and in Chicago between these two, but I will guarantee you the majority of Cardinal fans have seen what they wanted to see in 1998, and they'd be more than happy to see the Cubs in the postseason. The Cardinals, by the way, have been mathematically eliminated at this point. 3-2, the count on Marrero.
I think a big tip of the cap to Steve Traxel for being able to maintain his composure throughout the hugs and the salutations from Mark McGwire. The 10-minute delay, he's come back to retire, well, 5 in a row at that point. He walks Marrero here.
Let's go down to Steve Lyons, who's standing by with the commissioner.
All right, Joe, thank you very much. This is Bud Selig. And Bud, you are an owner of the Brewers. When Henry Aaron hit his 715th, can you compare that to this moment tonight?
Well, that was a very dramatic moment, and you know, it was remarkable then. And this has been, I don't think, Steve, in all the things I've seen in my 35 years in baseball, I'm not sure I've ever seen anything like I've seen here the last 3 days. And tonight was magnificent. You think of the history and just the way Mark handled it when he came over here and hugged the Maris family. This is a great moment for baseball, for all of us involved. It's been some summer, and it got capped off tonight. So this is, you know, this is the type of moment that for 2 or 3 generations people remember where they were when he hit the home run.
And you certainly see some emotion from Mark McGwire that we're not used to seeing in years past.
You know, you really do. Both Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire have handled it well, and I just can't tell you what how much grace and dignity they brought to the game. And we're having a great year, but they certainly are 2 of the primary reasons. And it's not only their achievements, which are obviously, I mean, magnificent. It's the way they've handled themselves all along.
Could this have happened in a better baseball city than St. Louis?
Well, you know, I have to be a little careful of that, but because I said this at my press conference. But look, when you think of St. Louis and you go back to the Gas House Gang and you go back to Stan Musial and Red Schoendienst, who are sitting right here, and you think of all those years and the remarkable attendance they have. This is, if you were to ask, is there a better baseball town in America? The answer is no, there isn't. This town is absolutely remarkable, and its history proves it.
All right, but I know that you've had a great time. We certainly have too. Let's send it back up to you guys in the booth.
All right, Steve, thank you, and thank you to Bud Selig. As DeShields takes a ball down and in, 1-2. Well stated from the commissioner. Put it into perspective. It's been good, wholesome fun at the old ballpark.
Good family entertainment. You know, that word that the commissioner used that we've kicked around here in the booth, but I think it's very apropos for both the gentlemen that have been pursuing this record is dignity. They both carried themselves in such a dignified, respectful manner. You can't help but root for them.
Got another balk call. This time Steve Traxel is called for the balk, and we will get a mild argument from Jim Riggleman. And Larry Poncino, the first base umpire, tries to give a long distance reason to Jim Riggleman as he heads out as to why the balk was called. This is our second balk of the night. One by Merker and one here by Traxel.
Earlier in the game, you may remember Delino DeShields was picked off on a similar balk move from Steve Traxel. And that's what Bob was talking about earlier. When you break that left leg, you're committed to go home. He did it again, and a balk was called.
It's a very subtle movement, and it's timed so perfectly that a lot of times Traxel and the other Cub right-handed pitchers have been able to get away with it. That front knee buckles just enough, and they spin, make the throw to first base. Most base runners are trained to concentrate on that leg. When they see that left leg buckle, they know the pitcher's going home.
You know what it points out? along with everything you're talking about, is the mild argument that Tony La Russa put up back in the first inning. While it didn't change the call at the time, changes the circumstances here because he planted the seed in the head of Larry Bonsino. Base hit to left field. Here comes Marrero. Glenn Allen Hill kicks it in left. A run scores. It's a 2-2 game on a base hit by Delino DeShields.
Eli Marrero is a catcher who is a fast runner. A good jump at second base. He scores easily. I would imagine this will be a single RBI for DeShields and an error on Glenn Allen Hill.
And it is. First for Hill in a Cub uniform. Doesn't have the greatest reputation as a defensive outfielder. One of the reasons why, after starting the year in Seattle, he's no longer to the right of Ken Griffey Jr. And if there was any suspense, it went out the window when Hill kicked it in left field. But Marrero's going to score either way. And now Tatis with a go-ahead run at second and one out. 2-2 game. Into left field. Well hit. Back is Hill near the track to make the catch. 2 down. In walks Mark McGwire.
I know this is not going to be a popular decision, but if I'm Jim Riggleman, I walk McGwire in a minute. Think nothing of it. In a second.
Well, you're absolutely right. It would not be a popular decision, but I agree with you. The Cubs they're trying to get into the postseason, and regardless of who's chasing what record, they have to do what's best to win a ball game. And right now, the obvious choice is to put McGwire on.
You called it. The intentional walk to Mark McGwire will put 2 on with 2 out for Ray Langford. And it's almost as if to say, okay, you've had your history.
That's right.
Now we want the game.
That's right. And that, to me, is logical thinking.
In case you're just joining us, here's the way it sounded a little less than an hour ago. Record-breaking home run number 62 off the bat of McGwire. Family affair around here lately with Mark's 10-year-old son arriving just in time to see home run number 61 yesterday, and he doesn't have to miss another day of school. He can go back to California. He's seen home run number 62.
Well, on 61 and 62 both, it appeared that Matt McGwire wanted to do that high-five punch in the stomach thing that the Cardinals do, and both times Dad picked him up and ruined the fun.
The Maris family picking up a photograph of Roger Maris in his Cardinal uniform. Roger Maris ended his major league career in this city in that uniform. Now look at Roger Maris. Langford waits 2 on 2 out and takes a ball. It's 1-1.
Sometimes in television you have to lay out, and that's obviously what we were doing after the home run. And Bob and I are talking between innings, saying if there was ever a time to lay out, that was it. Because I'll tell you, we both almost lost it. When he went to hug the Maris family, then we almost lost it.
2 on 2 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2. One thing that we tried to give you, and we're very proud of our director Bill Webb and our producer John Filippelli, but we wanted to give you one constant look after the swing at Mark McGwire going around the bases. There's plenty of time right after the home run to show reactions from the many factions around this ballpark. But we wanted to give you one clean view of Mark McGwire with that historic trot. 2 on 2 out, 1 and 2 the count on Langford. It's a 2-2 game. 6th inning. Traxel trying to keep it that way. 2 balls, 2 strikes. By the way, the walk to McGwire, the 148th walk handed to him this season, and the first intentional walk since August 12th, in case you wonder about teams pitching to Mark McGwire. 2 on, 2 out, and the 2-2 to Langford. Full count. The runners will go. We keep talking about records. That man, Mark McGwire, is at a pace for 166 walks. The Major League record is held by Babe Ruth with 170. Many people didn't think that could be done. 2 on, 2 out, and Langford shoots one into deep right center at the track, at the wall. 3-run homer, 5-2, St. Louis. You intentionally walk Mark McGwire, get to Langford, and Ray jumps up and bites you.
The lower the pitch, the harder he hits it. That looked like a splitter. Ray Langford does not miss pitches around the knees.
And that's part of the reason Mark McGwire has not been intentionally walked since August 12th. Ray Langford having a big year behind him in the order. You got to have that protection.
Mark McGwire called Ray Langford, and this crowd wants a curtain call. Mark McGwire called Ray Langford the best protection he has ever had in any lineup he's been in.
That was an off-Broadway curtain, by the way.
It was. 2 out, nobody on, and a ball high to Gant. One ball, no strikes on Gant. 2 out, nobody on. 3 runs home and a 1-1 count. Well, it would be tough to second-guess the move of Jim Ringelman. I mean, you've got the single-season home run champ. First base open, 2 out. I don't care who's hitting behind him. Strike 2 on Gant. Langford is the man hitting behind him. And Langford goes deep. Tim, you mentioned Tony La Russa's week. Losing his mother over the weekend. Jumping on a flight. Going to Tampa, Florida, which is where he is from, to attend the funeral services of his mother, Oliva. Getting on a plane, knowing that his father was doing well enough to let him attend this game. And he hustles to get back here and is in the dugout for Mark McGwire's 62nd home run. And Tony La Russa wanted to be here for that. If all was well back home, all was well back home with his 88-year-old father. And Tony La Russa, who was Mark McGwire's manager in 1987 when he came to the big leagues, is here to see McGwire make history. 2-2 on Gant. Base is empty, 2 out, and Gant gets into one to center. Deep center, back-to-back, 6-2 Cardinals. home runs. And this swing by Ron Gant marks the end of a historic night for Steve Trachsel. The Cardinals lead 6-2. Welcome back. A 1-ball, 1-strike count. Terry Mulholland into the game for the Cubs in relief of Trachsel, who goes 5 2/3 innings. He's on the hook for the loss. Unless the Cubs rally, they trail 6-2. 2 out, nobody on, and ball 2 down and away to Mabry, 2-1.
And unless the Cubs can catch the Cardinals in 9 innings and tie it, Kent Mercker will be the winner. Double figures for Kent, telling us before the game that these people probably came to see him hit tonight.
They're seeing home runs left and right. This one falls short off the bat of Mabry. I hope we have his reaction. Boy, was he ticked. These fans aren't. Neither is he. 6-2 Cardinals.
6-2. The Cardinals are up for 5 in the 6th, and they are ready to party here in St. Louis. And friends, mark your calendars now for the 14th annual Cubs convention. Join the 1998 Cubs players along with your favorite Cubs from the past at the Chicago Hilton and Towers, January 15th through the 17th, 1999. For reservations, call 312-922-4400, or for more information, dial 773-404-Cubs.
Rick Croushore comes into the ballgame. J.D. Drew stays in left field. And Croushore just called back from the minor leagues in to protect a 4-run lead. He is a hard-throwing right-hander.
Well, if the Cubs don't rally, we're going to go 0 for 5 in St. Louis against a team that's struggling just to get back to 500. And the wild card race threatening to tighten up as well. Luckily for us, the Mets were humiliated tonight 16-4 by the Phillies. San Francisco and the Padres are tied 1-1 in the bottom of the 1st in San Diego. And the other big race of importance, as Jose flies the ball toward right at John Mabry, is the overall best record in the National League. Houston is clobbering Cincinnati. The Astros will win their 92nd. Atlanta's losing in Montreal. Greg Maddux really struggling of late for the Braves. If that stays the same, Atlanta and Houston will have the best record. And if San Diego can win, all 3 teams in the National League division leaders will have the same record with 2.5 weeks to play.
Well, Maddux has been just a 500 pitcher since the All-Star break, and twice within a span of 10 days he's given up 3 home runs in the same game. Something he hadn't done ever. Mark Grace with a couple of hits today. He joins Gaetti with 2 and Service 2 tonight.
Well, the fans in Cincinnati probably disappointed. That's where the Cardinals head next. The record has been broken tonight. Of course, McGwire could add to the total tomorrow or beyond. As Grace looks away 2-2. And you have to wonder too, Stoney, he said that he's going to try to take some time off. Cardinals still have some goals. They want to get to 500 or beyond. McGwire wants to hit 300 on the year. But with all the emotions of the moment, you wonder when he'll play again for St. Louis. Will he be back in the lineup? Will he take time off? And can Sammy Sosa catch him?
I think Sammy can definitely catch him. I'd like to see Mac take the rest of the year off, and Sammy will catch him for sure. Now that he's broken the record, just rest on your laurels.
I would need a lot of laurels to rest on there in my backside. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Sammy will hit next. And Grace draws the walk. That's a big play. Now Sosa can make it. A 2-run game if he can pop one here. And again, the fans in St. Louis are going to roar for Sammy. As proud as everybody in baseball is of Mark McGwire and what he has done for the sport, fans certainly should be as proud of Sammy Sosa for the class that he has displayed. For Mark McGwire. Ball one low. Listen to this place. You hear it?
They're booing every ball out of the strike zone.
And they're trying to say Sammy, Sammy, Sammy. Cub fans will have to teach these Cardinal fans how to chant. They know how to scream and yell and roar. The 1-0. Swung on, hit high in the air, but he got under it. Thought for a moment it left his bat in good shape, but went straight up.
Yeah, but the Hurricanes down south.
And J.D. Drew puts it away for out number 2. He had a great hack at that ball. For a moment, thought it was going out.
Oh, yeah. Well, the ball's not quite as lively for Sammy. Otherwise, this one's out of the yard. But in this case, Drew had to come in to make the grab.
Got under it. Give me a break. So there's out number 2. There's a rocket up the middle by Glenn Allen Hill. Grace will stop at second. A 2-out single from Glenn Allen Hill, his first of the game. First and second, 2-man out. And here's Gary Gaetti. He's 2 out of 3 tonight. He's 17 for 35 over a 9-game hit streak. And here's a look at our ComEd Power Profile.
Our ComEd Power Profile tonight is Gary Gaetti with the Cubs. In 19 games, he's knocking at the door of 400 with 4 home runs, 7 doubles.
Record. And tonight, Mark McGwire broke the record that most people think is the most revered in any sport. Home runs in a single season.
You definitely get the feeling they're going to have to change that number before the end of the season. Maybe several times.
Everybody has to look around them and wonder what, as Lance Painter gets ready, what memorabilia they can take away from this night. Somebody's going to get that banner up there, you know that.
Right.
Might be hung outside Mark's off-season home back in California. Look good in my basement. 2 on, 2 out. Gaetti takes a ball low from Croushore. Final score: the Phillies embarrassing the Mets 16-4. So the Cubs, at the very worst, will be tied with the Mets at the end of the night in the wild card chase. And there the Mets a half game out. If the Cubs fail to rally, they'll be back even. But then you start looking at the Giants again. The Giants starting the night tonight, now 2 games back. And they are leading at San Diego 1-0 in the first inning. There's a strike, and it's 2-1 on Gaetti. 2 on, 2 out.
San Francisco, San Diego gave Kirk Reeder the left-hander against Andy Ashby. Nomo was the starter in the Mets game today. Not sure exactly how many of those 16 runs were his.
3-1 on Gaetti. As Croushore is making this more and more interesting. With a 300 hitter Morandini on deck. A walk to Grace, a hit by Hill. Morandini next, but right now the 3-1 to Gaetti. Pops it up, back behind the plate, and it's out of play. And the Cardinals will head to Cincinnati after tonight's game. I think that'll be a fun flight.
McGwire wouldn't even need an airplane.
Here's a 3-2 pitch, just missed off the inside corner. The bases are loaded with 2 out for Morandini, and that might be it for Croushore.
This 3-2 pitch just inside to Gary Gaetti. Could have been a little low. Good call.
And with Morandini coming up, Croushore, who was just reinstated on the Cardinal roster, as the rosters have been able to expand now in September, cannot get through a full inning. We're in the 7th. The Cubs are rallying, trying to get back in it. Lance Painter will enter.
Starts with a hell
situation.
Morandini always a tough hitter, but particularly with runners on base, he'll battle, he'll hang in there tough. Although it looks like Matt Mieske has come out into the on-deck circle to hit for Mickey Morandini.
Well, we praised one move. I have to question this one. And Mieske might step in and pound a grand slam with the bases loaded 2 out. And he is a 300 hitter, but Morandini is a season-long accomplished 300 hitter, doing a lot of that against left-handed pitching, and I don't.
It is a strange move unless there is an injury that we don't know about to Mickey Morandini.
Morandini was in the on-deck circle, and I am going to go out on a limb and say there's nothing physically wrong with him. But it's Mieske now as Jim Riggleman goes to the right-hander, bases loaded 2 out, facing Painter and taking a ball high. Matt Mieske has spent the better part of his career in Milwaukee. And in his first year with the Cubs, there are his career numbers with the bases loaded. He's a 300 hitter. He did just get recalled from AAA Iowa. So Morandini is lifted here in the 7th with the bases loaded 2 out. And that's low. Ball 2, 2-0. Morandini is 0 for 7 lifetime against Lance Painter, if you want statistics to back you up. You can see Mickey shaking his head over there.
Doesn't believe in those computer printouts.
Here's the 2-0 pitch. Bases loaded, 2 out. Cubs need a hit. Off the mask of Marrero, 2-1.
Being a catcher's easy, huh? A lot of people think shots like that don't hurt, but they do.
Will rattle your cage, cross your eyes for a few minutes.
Now the 2-1 pitch to Mieske with the bases loaded 2 out. Into center field. Langford over to get it. The Cubs threaten but do not score. They leave 3 and have stranded 11. Bottom of the order coming up for the Cardinals on a historic night in St. Louis.
Fans, this break in the action is brought to you by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Terry Mulholland goes back to work. New second baseman is Jason Maxwell. He's just called up from AAA Iowa, and he gets to play in this historic game. As Luis Ordaz, the shortstop for the Cardinals, then Drew, then Eli Marrero will bat. For St. Louis, leading 6-2 in the 7th. They pinch hit for Morandini and now have to replace him defensively. And Ordaz behind on the count 0-1. Here's J.D. Drew. From the Northern League to a new contract to Double-A Little Rock to Triple-A Memphis to the Cardinals. What a year. And to a Major League debut on a night in which Mark McGwire hits number 62.
And prior to that, laying out a professional ball for a year because the Philadelphia Phillies couldn't sign him, couldn't get together with numbers.
1-1. Ordaz chops it foul. Now I hope JD knows it's not like this every night around here.
Yeah, right.
Cardinals, for the most part, are penciling him in for a starting spot in their outfield next year. And it's a big topic of discussion around here because of the impending free agency. Part of Brian Jordan, who may leave at the end of the year. 2-2 on Ordaz.
Well, it's going to be a tough go for J.D. Drew the remainder of this season and into next year as you get a look at Brian Jordan sitting this one out tonight. J.D. Drew really alienated himself from a lot of the major league players by holding out, not signing the contract. Many veterans felt that he needed to prove himself before he cashed in with the big payday, but Drew stuck to his guns, and here he is in the most historic game in the history of baseball.
A lot of people thought, Tim, that it was his agent, Scott Boras, who was driving that train. J.D. Drew and his family will tell you it was J.D. Drew and his family that were driving that train. But it wasn't Boris trying to make a statement. The 2-2 to Ordaz is to the second baseman Maxwell, just into the game. His first put out goes without a hitch, one away.
And the final number, from what I understand, a little over $8 million as a bonus. That is whether he makes it or not. Bonuses have gone up since I was playing.
No kidding.
Is it hypocritical at all for major leaguers to make the comments that some made publicly about J.D. Drew with regard to holding out for the money?
Perhaps. Yeah, that's a good point.
Come on. Into left center field off the bat of Drew. Lance Johnson to his right, 2 out. Well, this isn't TGIF, and this is no average neighborhood. Catch the series premiere of Living in Captivity and the season premiere of Getting Personal. It's all a part of Wild Thing Friday, starting at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. Friday night. 2 out, nobody on, and here's Morero. And that's foul for strike 1. Ray Latford makes a friend with a souvenir on this night.
Sammy Sosa and Mark McGwire will hit again. McGwire, at the very least, will be third up at the bottom of the 8th. And Sosa, even if the first 4 Cubs are retired in the 8th inning, and the first and the 9th, he'll be the batter in the top of the 9th inning.
And we again hope to talk to Mark McGwire right after the ball game, so stay with us for those words as Morero strikes out looking, and we slip into the 8th inning. Mulholland does his job. 8th inning, Cubs need some runs. They trail the Cardinals 6-2. Best. Here is our Toyota game summary. Mark McGwire hits his 62nd home run of the season, an all-time record. Period. What more do you want? The Cubs want a lot more. They trail 6-2, and they get a leadoff base hit from Scott Service on our Toyota game summary. Sammy Sosa 1 for 3 with a single and a walk, and everybody around here pulling for a Sosa home run. Mark Grace an RBI single in the first. Gaetti did the same, and the Cardinals 5 runs in the 6th inning, including home runs by Langford and Gant. They went back to back. A look at the Bud One airship overhead here in St. Louis, downtown St. Louis, the world headquarters of Anheuser-Busch. And Budweiser is the official beer of Major League Baseball. They help bring you the pictures from above. Leadoff hit, and now Manny Alexander is at the plate pinch hitting, and he takes a strike.
Joe, Bob, I'll tell you what I want. I want to see Sammy Sosa batting with the bases loaded, 2 outs, and hit a grand slam home run. Hey, this is a movie, isn't it?
Certainly feels like it, doesn't it?
It does.
Are we collectively Joe Bob now?
Yeah,
All
Joe
right.
Bob.
All right. I'll take it.
Bobby Joe, Joe Bob. Depends what part of the country you're in.
That's right. 1 on, nobody out. A leadoff hit by Service. Manny Alexander, a .234 hitter. Grounds to first, past McGwire. DeShields, great effort, but too late. Base hit. The first 2 are on for the Cubs here in the 8th inning. Great effort by DeShields. Painter got over there, but the speed of Alexander, it's a clean infield single all the way.
And once that grounder got past Mark McGwire, it was going to be a very difficult play for the second baseman, who's off balance, making the awkward throw, trying to hit the moving target in the pitcher covering first base. And as you mentioned, Alexander's speed just too much.
Well, here you go, Tim. We're getting there. 2 on, nobody out, top of the order. Here's a look, and you will see that Alexander was safe. Lance Johnson takes the ball. Lance is 0 for 4. He's fly to center, fly to left, line to right, and grounded out. Action starts for the Cardinals in their bullpen, and there's action for the Cubs in their bullpen. We got action. 2 on, nobody out, and Johnson takes a strike. 1-1. Swingert, the right-hander, getting ready for Chicago. Two on, nobody out, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count on Johnson. And a visit to Painter while they get John Frascatore ready in the Cardinal bullpen.
By the way, after tonight's game is over, there is postseason in baseball this year, right?
There is.
Right, the World Series.
It will happen.
Wild card, National League Championship Series, American League. You know, you would think this is the 7th game of the World Series. That's the feeling it has to me.
I would agree with that, and I would also add that as Johnson takes a pitch low to make it 2-1, this season is setting up for an extremely exciting postseason and World Series, and of course could be blamed for self-serving reasons for saying that, but I think people who watch this game day in and day out believe that. 2 on, nobody out, 2 balls and a strike on Johnson, and 2-2 as all of a sudden the high strike is being called, which is to the delight of Lance Painter.
Since he's thrown a couple pitches up near the top of the zone. Now this entire baseball season has been kind of a can you top this?
Yeah.
Good numbers for Johnson with runners in scoring position. He has a man out there. Lays off, and it's 3-2.
Ken Griffey Jr. satisfying the Pacific Northwest with 50 home runs. San Francisco with a possible wild card. The San Diego Padres with a marvelous ball club. Houston, a very dangerous club.
Off the plate, the Cardinals will get only one.
The Atlanta Braves are the Atlanta Braves again.
We'll put that on hold, and we'll show you, Tim and Bob and the rest of our viewers, the reaction from across the country when Mark McGwire connected.
Diamond Vision Board here at Veterans Stadium.
George Steinbrenner. That is obviously the view from a big screen, probably at Fenway, with the Yankees and Red Sox playing there, and George Steinbrenner standing and applauding. Now, as the runners have advanced to second and third in a 4-run game in the 8th inning, the Cardinals will make a pitching change. Frascatore stomps in. Hernandez, Grace, and Sosa coming up.
Bad defensive high school football game. But it took Sammy Sosa so long to hit a grand slam home run, and then he hit 2 in a period of 3 games, in 2 games, back to back.
Well, while John Frascatore gets ready, you look at his numbers. We have so many people to thank for making this possible, for showing this historic night to this nation. On national TV, network, over-the-air national television. We want to thank, of course, the senior coordinating producer of Major League Baseball on Fox and the producer of today's game, John Filippelli. Our director, unparalleled in this business, is Bill Webb. The senior producer of the studio shows, Scott Ackerson. Produced by Gary Lang on a week-by-week basis. Directed by Bob Levy. Assisted there by Jennifer Love. And the senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown. The executive producers of Fox Sports, David Hill and Ed Gorin. And boy, have they made this happen. And today's technical producer, Dave Hill, technical director, Mitch Riggin. Special thanks to Lance Garrett, Derek Manning, Mike Fitzgerald, and as always, our hats are off to Steve Horn, who does the best job in any booth across the country assisting us. Second and third, 1 out. And the pitch to Jose Hernandez is up high from John Frascatore.
It's nice when your job is your privilege.
And it has been that tonight, hasn't it?
It indeed has.
Lou Brock, Hall of Famer, number 20, and a former member of both of these two teams. The Chicago Cubs traded to the Cardinals, and it was greatness after that. Number 2 in the all-time stolen base list, and he with 3,000 career hits. Second and third, 1 out, and the 1-0 pitch to Hernandez. That'll get a run home. Ordaz makes the play at first, out, the RBI ground out. Second out of the inning, and it's now a 6-3 Cardinal lead.
Lewis Clark Brock traded to the St. Louis Cardinals on June 15th, 1964. Biggest debacle as far as trades are concerned in Chicago Cub history. And Lou went on, number 20, on to be a Hall of Famer. What a player. Wow.
Now runner at third with 2 out for Grace, and he takes a strike over the outside corner from Frascatore. Grace tonight has been on base 3 times, 2 for 3 plus a walk. 1-1.
Lou Brock and Bob Gibson, both a couple of Hall of Famers, special instructors for the Cardinals. Well, a couple of bad guys to have for special instructors.
And Stan Musial's the team musician with the harmonica. Into left field off the bat of Grace. Back to get it, J.D. Drew, and the inning is over. The Cubs get a run. They creep 1 run closer. We'll see McGwire in the bottom of this 8th, 6-3 St. Louis.
This is at McDonald's. With Cardinal grade.
On Fox Sports Midwest is brought to you in part by Bud Light. For the great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light. By Southwestern Bell, go wireless with someone you know. And by Southwest Airlines, with fares so low you have the freedom to go places. Fly Southwest.
Welcome back to the ballpark. The name of the ballpark, Busch Stadium in the city of St. Louis, Missouri. And tonight, Tuesday, September 8th, 1998, Mark McGwire broke the single-season home run record of 61 home runs, hit by Roger Maris in 1961. He has 62 and counting, and I think the and counting is going to leave a lot of drama for the rest of this season.
I don't know how you could possibly predict where he's going to end up. I mean, the pressure is off now. He could fall into you know, a slump and finish the year on a down note. He could respond exactly the opposite way. The pressure's off. He's relaxed. He's having fun. He may go on a tear. But whatever number he ends up at, I have a feeling it's going to stand for quite some time.
And I tell you, I think Sammy Sosa is going to be relentless for the rest of the season because the Cubs have something to fight for.
A ground ball to first off the bat of the Shields. 1 away as Grace takes care of it. New pitcher is Don Wingert. Takes over for Mulholland. 3rd of the night. The numbers for Wingert, a record of 1-3. Here's Tatis, 0 for 3, hitting in front of McGwire tonight. Manny Alexander now at second base as they take Jason Maxwell back out of the lineup. 1 out, nobody on, and a strike is poured into Tatis. Well, soon I will be leaving you two. Headed down to hopefully corral Mark McGwire for an interview after this game, and that's going to be. I want your best wishes as you send me down there.
Good luck to you.
You may never see me again.
Good luck to you.
Okay.
We're behind you winter time.
0-2 on Tatis. He left in the 8th and was never heard from again. 1-2.
Well, I can't help but think every time I see Matthew McGwire down there as the bat boy. I have a son about his age, and when he goes back to school, whether it be tomorrow or the day after, it has to turn in that composition. What I did on my Labor Day vacation. Well,
2-2.
Let's see. I got to fly on a jet, go to St. Louis, and watch my dad set the all-time single-season home run record in Major League Baseball. I think he'll get an A.
He'll end it with any questions.
Yeah. Well, the questions will be put to Mark McGwire after this one as Tatis strikes out looking, and in walks Mark McGwire, the hero of the night right now, the hero of the 1998 season. One more standing ovation here in the 8th inning for Mr. 62. From here on out, it's not going to be any more. Is he going to break it? It's going to be how many is he going to hit? Since the record, number 62, he's been intentionally walked in the 6th inning.
And enormous pressure since spring training began. Mark, do you think you have a chance? And then he opened the season with 4 home runs in 4 games. To tie Willie Mays, the only other player to do that.
2 out, nobody on, and a 1-1 count on McGwire. Yeah, he's been hearing this since really the end of last year.
Yeah.
When he ended up with 58. First question of spring training for Mark McGwire. You think you can break the record? 2-1. I asked him a question. I did a sit-down interview with Mark McGwire for the Fox Sports Net spring training. He said, I don't want to answer. I said, the one question everybody wants to ask you, you won't answer. He said, well, I figure I have to average 10 a month, and if I do that, I'll do it. And if I have 50 by the start of September, I'll have a chance. 2-2. We would like to welcome those of you who have been watching the Cincinnati Reds and the Houston Astros on FX. This is what could be the final at bat tonight for Mark McGwire, who has 62 home runs. The 2-2 pitch from Wengert. Full count.
A perfect example in this at bat against Don Wengert of how pitchers try to get Mark McGwire out. Sweeping, breaking balls away off the outside corner and high fastballs up above the letters.
Here it comes on 3-2. A 2-out walk. So after the record, an intentional walk and now an unintentional walk. But if you want to get an asterisk out for that one, you can go ahead. Maybe unintentional in the books, but Wengert was not going to groove one on 3-2. So the walk continues the inning, and it ends the night for Don Wengert with Langford coming up. He's already burned the Cubs tonight once. And Chicago will go to the left-hander here in the 8th. Folks, at the end of the game, we hope to speak with Mark McGwire and recap his magical season. Then, for the most extensive coverage of this home run chase and all the post-game activities, turn to Fox Sports News Primetime, following this game on your Fox Sports Net regional channel. McGwire is at first after the walk, and the batter is Ray Langford. Langford is 1 out of 3, but the one is a big one. A 2-out, 3-run home run his last time up. Guys, how much can the Babe stand? Mark McGwire passes him. Ruth's record of 60 home runs stood for 34 years until Maris in 61. So he passed him long ago. And now he's on pace for 167 walks. Ruth's record there is the major league record of 170. That could be eclipsed, which would be incredible that he could do both in the same season.
Because Babe Ruth did not hit 60 home runs and set the National League or the American League record, Major League record for walks in the same season. He walked 170 times in 1923 and homered 60 times, of course, in 1927.
One on, 2 out. Langford a big swing and a miss against Felix Heredia. Heredia, the numbers, he was a trading deadline acquisition by the Cubs from the world champion Marlins. By the way, they too have been mathematically eliminated. Somewhere close to the All-Star break. 1 on, 2 out, a ball and 2 strikes. Langford waits. 2-2. John Frascatore is on deck, and right now there's no action in the Cardinal bullpen, although Acevedo was up earlier. He has been the closer for St. Louis lately, and it might be his 9th inning. Here's the 2-2 to Langford. That should end 8 innings for the night. Lance Johnson staggers under it, has it. McGwire is left. The Cardinals strand a runner in the 8th inning. And we go to the 9th. 3 outs away from the end of this one. 6-3 St. Louis.
watching Fox Sports Midwest, home of the Cardinals.
On a night as historic as this, that's all the Cardinals need is a change in their battery. Tom Lampkin, the new catcher, and the new pitcher, Juan Acevedo, as Joe Buck is making his way down to the dugout to talk to Mark McGwire.
Well, Tom Lampkin was one of those guys Joe mentioned earlier about how when a pitcher has a no-hitter going, guys on the bench try to stay away from him. They don't mention it. And throughout McGwire's chase of the home run record, the guys on the Cardinals bench have tried to avoid the topic as much as possible. And Tom Lampkin, one of his teammates who refused to shake his hand. I'm not going to shake your hand until you break the record. Lampkin broke down last night, or however on number 61, decided to go ahead and shake his hand, and now today could officially congratulate him on breaking the record.
Told us before the game that he did not know what he was going to do tonight. He didn't think he could stick to it, just sitting over on the bench idly. Well, here's Sammy Sosa. Homerless on the evening. 58 on the year against Juan Acevedo, who can be wild. And the crowd yelling for Sosa. Just missed that pitch. 0-1 to Sammy Sosa.
Boy, a home run cut there from Sammy Sosa on a low fastball. We've mentioned it throughout the broadcast, throughout the summer. Sosa, a very good low ball hitter. That one about the middle of the thighs. Generates every bit as much power from a much smaller frame.
Ball 1-1 now to Sammy Sosa, leading off the ninth. 6-3 Cardinals.
Consecutive series with a home run.
15 in a row, so if he does not get a home run here and the Cubs do not overtake the Cardinals, then this will be the first time since early August that Sammy has not homered in a series. 1 ball, 2 strikes as McGwire looks on. Tougher pitch from Acevedo outside with the fastball. Still 1-2.
You wonder if Sammy Sosa has a sense of relief that McGwire's finally broken the record.
It's a good point. High, ball 2, 2-2. Now Sammy can get back to business of trying to win the wild card berth in postseason play for the Chicago Cubs. 2 guys from totally different cultures. And Sosa down on strikes. One out here in the ninth inning, and this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball, and he's here tonight, and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Round of applause, another standing ovation for Sammy Sosa. This one lined by Glenn Allen Hill to left center field, and Hill's going to have his second hit of the game. He doubles with 1 out, so the Cubs still very much alive here in the ninth inning. Gary Gaetti coming up. We talked about Sosa earlier, mentioning that he was from the little bastion of baseball strength down in the Dominican Republic, San Pedro de Macorís. There was a marvelous article in the New York Times by Larry Roeder today, talking about when the games are on down there and the streets in San Pedro de Macorís, they're as empty as when the government decrees a curfew. They're all inside listening to what Sammy has done. Lined hard over the head of the left fielder, J.D. Drew, but what Joe Buck said earlier, he got a little glimpse of with a great jump on a ball hit by Gaetti. 2 out.
And on one of the toughest balls for an outfielder to play, that line drive hit directly at you, and Drew, as you mentioned, a great jump, immediately broke back toward the wall and was able to make that reaching catch almost at the warning track.
And Orlando Merced will be the pinch hitter for Jason Maxwell, the second baseman. Merced, formerly with the Pittsburgh Pirates, most recently with the Toronto Blue Jays, and exclusively as a left-handed batter. Now he was a switch hitter when he came up. 2 out, Glenn Allen Hill on second. 6-3 St. Louis. Check swing, foul ball. 0-1 to Orlando Merced.
Hot off the press.
The Bulldog edition. Bob Brindley and I have just received the Bulldog edition of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch that says unbelievable class 62. What a remarkable year for Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Orlando Merced. Joe Buck is working his way down through the bowels of Busch Stadium. As a matter of fact, he's right behind home plate right now. He will have Mark McGwire and perhaps some words from Sammy Sosa too. Fans on their feet on this historic night. Punch foul. That delays further elation here in St. Louis. What thoughts must be running through his mind right now? Curveball way high. 2-2 now to Merced.
Well, Mark has been so accommodating to the press. Post-game media sessions after every ball game that go on and on and on. And I imagine this is one that he's looked forward to and is anxious to put behind it.
Finally, with a chance to be somewhat pensive. Inside, full count now to Merced. On deck batter Scott Service, and should Merced get aboard, then Service will represent the potential tying run. Mark McGwire is homered for the 62nd time in the 1998 baseball season. He did it in his second at bat, a laser shot 341 feet from home plate. Tap toward third. This could be it. What a play by Tatis to end it. We are planning, and Joe is down on the field right now. We're planning to have an interview with Mark McGwire. Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa will be talking to Joe Buck and Steve Lyons. Winning pitcher Kent Merker, his record 10-11. Losing pitcher Steve Traxel, his record 14-8. Joe talked about it earlier. For Steve Traxel, he will be here tonight.
We get one more look at the historic home run off the bat of Mark McGwire, as Tim mentioned and Joe earlier. An absolute laser beam to left field. The only question was, is it high enough to clear the fence? Obviously it was.
I still love that shot. Dave McKay bringing McGwire back to make him touch first base because he was so happy and emotional he jumped over the bag. What a trip.
There's Mark McGwire with a big hug to his son Matthew after crossing home plate. A hug for catcher Scott Service. A hug for the Maris family. You get the feeling Mark McGwire would have hugged every person in this stadium tonight if time allowed.
his parents now. Enough emotions for you tonight, partner?
Oh, man, I'll tell you. It's been hard to talk at times. Can only imagine the feelings that must be running through that young man right now.
I think we're about to find out as we go down to Joe Buck and Mark McGwire on the field. Joseph?
All right, Tim, thank you very much. You've hugged everybody else, pal. I want one. Give me a hug. Congratulations. Congratulations, Ken. I know it's been difficult all year to describe what it's like for you to go through what you've been through. Can you describe the feeling of relief and how you feel right now after becoming the single-season home run champion?
I tell you what, I was so shocked because I didn't think the ball had enough to get out. And when I saw the ball leave, I looked up and Dave McKay was in my way, and I sort of missed first base. I had to come back and touch it. And then, you know, I don't remember anything after that. And then I come in and everybody's hugging me, and I lift up my son, and I'm hugging, and I go over and talk to the Marises, and I just I was numb. And then I said, I still got to play the game, you know. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this. But it's an absolutely incredible feeling. It's I can honestly say I did it.
I want to say in front of the world, it has been such a pleasure watching you conduct yourself on the field and off the field. This is the headline, unbelievable class. He's in a class of his own on the field, and why don't I welcome in his parents right now, John and Ginger McGwire. You two ought to be awfully proud of the young man that you helped put together and give to the world. John, first you, can you describe what you're feeling tonight?
Ginger and I are deliriously happy over Mark's accomplishment. I mean, it's just phenomenal what he's achieved this year, starting with spring training and setting his mind to accomplish this goal. It's beyond our wildest dreams to be here tonight. Last night, he hit the 61st on my 61st birthday. Tonight, he hit his 62nd for the people of St. Louis, as he said. What a class act.
A class act. And Mom, I know you don't like this, but just a quick word about Mark and how proud you are.
It's just an incredible moment in the history of baseball, and I'm just so very proud of my son.
Thank you. Love you guys.
It just seems so unreal. Do you want to pitch me?
Yes, it's real. Congratulations. And for you, my friend, you realize, and this is the last question, I'll let you go, you realize what you have done for the game of baseball, don't you? You flung this game on your back, and you've taken it for a ride in 1998.
Well, I tell you what, if I'm responsible for it and the fans are coming out to watch it, I'm sure proud to be responsible for the game of baseball getting back on its feet, because I tell you what, I am damn proud of what I've accomplished, what I had to go through, and especially the support I've been getting here in St. Louis is absolutely incredible. And I thank St. Louis for everything.
Well, on behalf of St. Louis, on behalf of the baseball world, the sports world, and right now pretty much the country, I want to say thank you, Mark McGwire, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's Mark McGwire, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Mark. This has been a magical night toward the end of a magical season. If you were to construct a home run hitter in a lab, put him together, he'd look like that, and he'd be that kind of person. He is genuinely someone that we can all look up to and realize that greatness is in our midst. This man tonight hit home run number 62 in the Cardinals' 145th game of the year. He is now the new single-season home run champion. He has 62 and counting, and the question now, how many before the end of 1998? Tonight's swing is worth another look.
Now, tonight's most up-to-the-minute scores, highlights, and sports news from coast to coast. This is Fox Sports News Primetime.